Hello and welcome everyone to the 5G Factor. I'm Ron Westfall, Research Director here at the Futurum Group, and I'm joined here today by my distinguished colleague, Olivier Blanchard, our Research Director focused on key areas such as devices and semiconductors, including 5G, of course. And today we'll be focusing on the major 5G ecosystem developments that have caught our eye, which naturally means reviewing the key takeaways that we had from the Mobile World Congress 2024 event in Barcelona, which basically I think we can couple with providing a somewhat of a preview for Mobile World Congress 2025, basically scooping folks by a mere 50 weeks. So a 2-for-1 combo. How's that for value? And so, Olivier, welcome back to the 5G Factor, and many thanks for joining today. How have you been bearing up between episodes?
Yeah, no, it's been back-to-back things. So, we had CES, then we had Mobile World Congress a week ago. I just came back from an HP event. So there's a lot going on, and it's all interconnected. So I'm sure that we'll get to that in a moment with today's topics.
Right on. And before we dive right in, I believe we have a special announcement to share. I understand you're getting married next week. So,
Yes,
congratulations.
thank you. I'm excited. I usually say
Whereabouts?
I'm psyched, but it makes everybody laugh. So yeah, I'm excited about it and psyched.
Uh, well, again, kudos on that. You're getting married in Charleston, South Carolina, if I recall correctly.
Charleston, South Carolina. Yeah, so hopefully the weather
Outstanding.
will be nice. I know the food will be nice. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it.
Right
It's
on.
gonna be nice.
I'll add value. I'll compile a best of our 5G factor podcast, for the
Excellent.
lovely couple, kind of
Love it.
a wedding gift.
Thank you. Can't wait.
Yes, when I presented that type of gift to my wife as an anniversary gift, she was speechless. So we'll
I
see.
bet. I bet. Yeah, I'm sure.
All right. Well, back to Mobile World Congress, which is now in our rear view mirror. However, we are going to spotlight the major announcements in the semiconductor and device segments that, of course, jumped out at us. And to start, let's start with the analyst roundtable conversation we had with Micron's mobile business unit
Yeah.
executives, including Mark Montrief, the corporate VP and general manager of MBU, and Chris Moore, VP of marketing at Micron's MBU. Now, during the show, Micron announced that it's delivering qualification samples of an enhanced version of its Universal Flash Storage, or UFS, 4.0 mobile solution with breakthrough proprietary firmware that delivers an ultra compact UFS package at 9 times 13 millimeters, which is very important in this space. And to complement that, it's built on its 232 layer 3D NAND and offering up to 1 terabyte of capacity. So we're talking terabytes in this area of the mobile ecosystem. And as such, the UFS 4.0 solution provides advances in performances as well as enabling faster and more responsive experiences on flagship smartphones, which certainly was a major point of interest at the show itself. Now, Micron UFS 4.0 accelerates data intensive experiences with up to 4,300 megabytes per second sequential read and 4,000 megabits per second sequential write speed, twice the performance of previous generations. With these speeds, users will be able to launch their favorite productivity and emerging AI apps more swiftly. Large language models and generative AI applications now can be loaded 40% faster, resulting in a smoother experience, I believe, when initializing conversations with AI digital companions. And I don't think it's been an adoption issue, but again, it's improving that experience with, the large language models, with being able to get more out of chat GPT, for example, in a more user-friendly and efficient way. Now, working with Micron is Samsung, who's incorporating Micron's low power double data rate 5X or LPDDR5X memory and UFS 4.0 mobile flash storage into select devices across the Samsung Galaxy S24 series, which is really introducing AI to mobile users worldwide. And we saw that the Galaxy S24 series is underpinned by Samsung's suite of GenAI tools, Galaxy AI, which helps amplify experiences from enabling barrier-free communication to also, again, optimizing creative freedom for the users. Now, as these data and energy intensive features push the limits of smartphone hardware capability, Micron's LPDDR5X memory and UFS 4.0 storage provides critical high performance capabilities and power efficiency to deliver these AI experiences at the edge. So, edge AI, very much a hot topic, and I know we'll talk about that more in detail. Now, select Samsung Galaxy S24 devices across the S24 Ultra, S24 Plus, and S24 models are shipping with both those capabilities. And that is demonstrating from our perspective how Micron is really driving innovation across the smartphone product segment specifically, but again, the overall mobile AI ecosystem. What I think is also important is that Micron's LPDDR5X is a mobile optimized memory distinguished by offering the advanced capabilities of the one beta process node. So here we are talking semiconductors. We should, of course, mention the process node capability here. And while Micron's UFS 4.0 offers the performance and power needed to store growing amounts of data in today's AI driven smartphones, I think it's also important to note that Micron announced it has begun volume production of its HBM3E, which stands for High Bandwidth Memory 3E solution. And why is that a big deal? Because Micron's 24 gigabyte 8H HBM3E will be part of NVIDIA H200 Tensor Core GPUs, which will begin shipping just in the next quarter, Q2 2024. Now, we see this milestone as positioning Micron to further empower AI solutions with HBM3E's performance and energy efficiency features. And of course, driving NVIDIA, we believe will be important in how the market as well as the ecosystem perceives Micron and its strengthening position in terms of, for example, AI capabilities. And that includes certainly AI on the smartphone and devices. And with that, I'm going to stop talking about Micron in the introduction, but there was so much material. I know, Olivier, you'll have plenty to mine. What was your, some of your key takeaways in our conversation with the Micron folks at the show?
So yeah, and that was a really good introduction. So many acronyms and part numbers. It's kind of hard to follow. So if I could summarize and kind of
Right
focus on
on.
the one thing that really struck me as sort of not just relevant, but especially relevant is, when we're talking about the overarching theme of today's show and also at MWC, and I hate to steal your thunder ahead of when you're going to like talk about this, but it's basically on-device AI, right? And I think that the top three topics at MWC were
Yes.
on-device AI, on-device AI, and on-device AI. So um, up until now, what we've been talking about with on-device AI is the CPU,
Hmm.
which we all understand what a CPU is, central processing unit. You have the GPU, which is graphics, which is kind of like the workhorse for generative AI workloads, and also for a lot of camera and gaming applications. So basically, all of the kind of like enhanced features of a phone tend to require an extremely sophisticated GPU. And we're starting to see also neural processing units, so NPUs show up in both PCs, but on phones first, that kind of help manage and accelerate these AI workloads. But so far, that's been kind of like these are the three categories of semiconductors that we've talked about. And memory has, for the most part, seemed like this sort of commoditized thing where you get memory on your phone or on your device, and you have these different tiers, right? You have like 256 and whatever. But we don't necessarily think about storage and memory as more than just kind of like storage. But actually, what's happening with the new requirements of these extremely fast AI workloads is you need a special kind. You need a memory solution that is well adapted to the power requirements, to the speed, to the processes, and that just kind of like makes this all work. And where Micron has positioned itself, and I think that their joint announcement with Samsung on the S24 was so critical and also so telling, is that they're kind of like the fourth leg of that peg that AI peg, CPU, GPU, NPU, and memory. And so it's fantastic strategy, hats off to Micron for making it really obvious and having that conversation and essentially just kind of like putting this forward in the eye of the market and saying no, like memory is also part of this. It isn't just these other chipsets or this other semiconductor solutions. But also what I thought was significant is that Samsung didn't have to do this.
Right.
Samsung could have continued to just say, hey, look, best implementation. We have, we have our own silicon, but we're also
Hmm.
using Qualcomm's SoC. It's Snapdragon flagship plus plus. But they made a choice to showcase, to highlight their partnership on the memory side, and to show, look, we're thinking about this as well, and this is what's enabling this. And I think I can't remember a time recently when a major handset OEM um, emphasize their memory partner as much as Samsung did today. And it was definitely different for Micron that usually sort of like hangs in the back, doing
Yes.
their thing. And I think it's indicative of I think first of all the need for handset OEMs to differentiate themselves in this new age of on-device generative AI, which is we're going to talk about what it's going to do, I think, to the refresh cycles and resetting them. But for Samsung to do this shows that okay, the importance of memory, the importance of having the right partnerships with the right partners in the ecosystem to sort of like establish dominance, not just as a finished product, but as an implementer of all of these different solutions together, and showing to the industry that look, we have all the right pieces in place, we have the right partners in place to deliver the best product. So huge coup for Micron, and also I'm smarter for it because I'll be completely honest, I was aware of this but not to that extent, and so it kind of
Yes.
opened my eyes to the importance of memory, and that's cool. That's unusual.
Uh,
Usually I'm ahead of the game with that, and this time I wasn't.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. It was a great conversation. And kudos to Samsung for elevating its memory partnership. If I recall correctly, the only other handset OEM that did that at the show was Honor in terms of, collaborating with Micron to highlight, the importance of memory. So Samsung at the forefront, Honor also getting honorable mention in this regard. And so we'll stay tuned. We could actually do the whole show just on
Yeah, I
Micron
think
and
I think
memory.
at some point we will, because I think Micron's a company to watch.
Oh yeah,
Now that they're on my radar, they should be on everybody else's radar too, I think. Yeah, for
yeah.
good reason.
I think they're on our radar, and that I think will come to the forefront more during the course of this year, especially as AI drives a lot of the smartphone innovation and device innovation. And speaking of which, let's turn to another device manufacturer, and that is Lenovo. Now, I had the honor of joining Dominic Van Ham, the GM of the worldwide CSP business unit, on two NMG panels at the show that focused on the move to edge AI and the integral role that telcos and partners can play at the edge, as well as how telco AI can improve network energy efficiency and use. And so, definitely, we have to keep a close eye on the energy efficiency dimension here, because if there's one thing that might lessen the full impact of AI is, again, the energy efficiency aspect. And we'll touch on that a bit more. But in terms of Lenovo, now what they did at the show was, in order to support the massive amount of computing that's moving to the edge, the company is offering Lenovo integrated edge AI solutions for telco with Lenovo's ecosystem of partners. And that includes, for example, a new multi cloud edge computing architecture with Telefonica, which addresses mission critical applications for smart cities specifically. So the question has been arising, what are the use cases? Where is the focus, at least on the telco side? Well, here we are. Here's a great example of it. And the goal is to make it simple to use data throughout city streets in a wide array of AI use cases, including video analytics, computer vision, to identify, for example, smoke and fire, to support really public safety and improve emergency response times. And so we're all for that. Plus, it's using Lenovo's Telco Cloud with the range of Lenovo ThinkEdge servers and Motorola's push to talk technology. So, yes, clearly Motorola is a part of Lenovo, and they definitely will be working in tandem on projects such as this with customers such as Telefonica. And the new solution is built to orchestrate the entire edge to cloud ecosystem, weaving infrastructure, connectivity, and applications together to support public safety and improve emergency response with real time AI. Now, also at the show, Lenovo unveiled an expanded joint innovation partnership for telecom and cloud services to help Orange, that is the Orange Group, bringing high performance and energy efficiency to their telco clients worldwide. Now, in support of continued telecom advancement, Orange and Lenovo are also extending the partnership for 3 more years and launched a shared Silva project validation center addressing telco and edge use cases. So people are like, what about Silva? Well, here we are. This is a great example of why it's definitely alive and kicking and why it got some mind share at the show itself. Now, specifically on devices, Lenovo launched brand new ThinkPad and ThinkBook business laptops, which unveiled AI features that enhance productivity and efficiency with performance enhancements and multi-mode versatility. In addition, they also showed us the ThinkVision M14T Gen 2 portable display, a USB-C slim travel dock for docking on the go, and a redesigned ThinkPad Executive 16-inch backpack, which allows for easy carrying of a mobile office, really. And also, rounding out the hardware announcements are also new software solutions, including Lenovo Identity Advisor, a digital identity monitoring tool, and Smart Connect, a software that unlocks multi-device synergies. But I'm not done. Last but not least, the one that probably captured the imagination of many people at the show was that Lenovo showcased a futuristic proof of concept laptop, the ThinkBook Transparent Display Laptop, which features really, I believe, the industry's first laptop with a 17.3-inch micro LED transparent display, providing a completely borderless and see-through display experience. It really was science fiction like. It was like you're like on the set of Minority Report, or pick and choose any of those types of movies. And with that, Olivier, what did you really like about your conversations with Lenovo and, for that matter, Motorola?
Yeah, so two things. One on the sustainability side, it's
Hmm.
these companies are getting really serious about it. So on the one hand, there's definitely an infrastructure play. I was just talking to not to steal the thunder from Lenovo, but I was talking to Honeywell recently about this
Hmm.
very thing and some of the solutions that they're deploying that focus on sustainability for entire buildings and facilities, even just campuses. That's sort of a mixture of infrastructure, hardware, software, with AI sort of helping sort of manage all these things. And so I can totally see how a lot of the hardware solutions that Lenovo puts in the market, including Motorola, would play well into that. It's also something that we're running into more on the hardware side. Obviously, I was just at HP Amplify, their partner
Hmm.
conference,
Right on.
and there's a huge emphasis, and HP is really kind of very forward about this. Their sustainability practices in terms of just zero plastic or zero single use plastic in their packaging, which is sort of like the low hanging branch. But even in the design of their products to make them last longer, to make them more like easily serviceable, removing certain types of materials and replacing them with coffee grounds and
Yeah.
ocean plastic. Um, so there's a lot of cool stuff that way, and so it's really good to see Lenovo also be focusing on this in every way that they can. And the trend in the industry isn't so much to kind of jump on the bandwagon as it was maybe 7 8 years ago. Now they're operationalizing it and putting it like front of mind. It's more of a mission critical thing. And what I'm noticing is the more companies become mature in their sustainability practices, the more those sustainability practices don't just define them. It's not just a messaging thing. It actually defines their product development and their go to business philosophy. And after I don't know where the magic point is, but after about 5 or 6 years of really intense focus on this and product design, they start actually turning their sustainability practices into product improvements.
Yeah.
where you have just more efficient, not just more power efficient, although that's definitely one of the big areas of focus, especially with AI right now. More better performance per watt, longer battery life, more efficient processes, etc. Um, but also just with toner cartridges, they last a lot longer. There's miniaturization, so the parts are smaller, they take up less space, so they take up less materials. They're also cheaper to ship. All of these things just start adding up, and so companies like Lenovo and HP focusing on this actually reduces their costs and makes their products better and the experiences of their users better, which is really nice. So it's not a cost center like it used to be. Like, oh, it's going to cost us money to be environmentally friendly. It's just good business, and it improves experiences again for users. So I love it. And what Lenovo is doing, I think, is sort of um, just adding more gas, and well, not gas, just putting
Unintended.
accelerating, right? Yeah, gas was
Gotcha.
totally the wrong analogy for this, obviously. But yeah, so just accelerating their commitment to this, because obviously I think they've reached that stage too, where they're seeing the business and market advantages of doing it, not just the optics.
Yeah, I think that trend is becoming more sharpened, and that there is genuine progress. Part of it is driven by the encouragement by the regulatory bodies and so forth to meet net zero emission targets that are ambitious. Say a decade from now or plus. But all of it's coming together. I mean, all these things are reinforcing each
Yeah,
other. And at the beginning of the show, we touched on, AI is a juggernaut. Clearly, it's being prioritized by all the decision makers out there. And the only caveat on the horizon is it is bandwidth intensive, it is energy intensive. And so I think the players out there who get out in front of this,
yeah,
yes, we want to make AI integral to your business success, improving business outcomes, but also from the get go, making sure that it doesn't undermine any sustainability objectives. It also aligns fully with what you're just pointed to, Olivier. So
yeah.
that I
There's
think is encouraging.
Yeah, there's been a lot of stories, a lot of coverage on the power requirements of AI focused data
Oh, yeah.
centers, right? And how much energy they need. And so one of the interesting things about on-device AI, or at least a lot of AI workloads moving out of the cloud and to the edge, and definitely on devices, is that it alleviates that. If you're not
Yeah.
running every single training and inference workload in the cloud, and you're running it on these smaller devices that are designed to be power efficient and energy efficient, um, that's a huge improvement in terms of the energy expenditure that AI as a whole is going to be responsible for. So it's definitely, I think that it's more ecologically sound to
Right.
mix that load and have this sort of hybridized AI system of data center, sort of on the edge, on prem, and then on device. Um, but if I could also, like, really quickly just comment on the see-through laptop
Sure.
before we move on, because I almost forgot to mention that it's very sci-fi. Yes, it's
Hmm.
we've been looking at watching movies with see-through phones, and everybody has like these little glass tablets that just magically have their displays on there. We're there, minus the actual hardware part of this is just a display. It obviously the chips and battery inside are not see-through or invisible. We haven't figured out a way to do that yet, but it was impressive,
Yeah.
and um, I want one. But
That's
what I like, and it's still a little thick,
Merry
right? Like, if we
Christmas.
can get it a little thinner, it'll be nice. But what I also like about it is, and it was also interesting to be able to clearly see what's happening on the screen,
Yes.
and also be able to sort of clearly see what's happening on the other side. I thought all of those images and those layers would interfere with each other, but it was done
Yeah.
well enough that it
Yeah.
didn't. The other thing I should say, in case anybody has questions about it, is if you don't want the person across from you to see what's on your screen, because like the screen is see-through, so you can see it from both sides. There is
True.
a mode that you can engage to kind of make your screen not visible, or what's on your screen not visible to somebody who's standing across the table from you.
Right.
for
Or
whatever
at the
reasons,
coffee
and not
shop
just
or
for
wherever.
data security issues. I wasn't There's nothing nefarious. I don't know what you're watching on your laptop, but generally speaking, if you have passwords, if you're writing an email, drafting, something, you don't necessarily want somebody sitting across the room from you to see
Yeah.
what you're working
Yeah.
on. So,
To make it
so
too
there
easy.
is security attached to that.
Yeah.
And it's a prototype, right? It's not an actual product yet. It was a proof of concept,
Yes,
but
it
it was
is.
super
Yeah.
impressive. Yeah,
So yeah, it's not at the stores yet, but
yeah,
we'll wait with bated breath. And
yeah.
Olivia, I'm glad you mentioned AI because the next vendor also had an AI related announcement at the show. In that case, it's MediaTek, who basically showcased a series of new Gen AI demos, all of which were using its latest generation of APU hardware featured in the Dimensity 9300 flagship smartphone SoC. Now, the new solution highlights key Gen AI technologies that are enabled by MediaTek, including new applications that are running entirely, again, on device. And two quick examples, one that is called SDXL Turbo, which is in practice was pretty neat, a text to image stable diffusion engine that dynamically generates images in real time based on user provided prompts. And so we know Hollywood, for example, is sweating about this type of capability. And then also video diffusion generation, which along the same lines enables fast video diffusion generation capable of a range of animation styles. So we're not just talking real life video, but animation. And so with those two examples, what were your impressions of MediaTek as it related to Mobile World Congress? What did you like or
Right.
dislike?
Mediatek's an interesting company.
Hmm.
They're really good at this, and obviously it's interesting, especially for me, also covering Qualcomm, because there's
Yes,
kind of a rivalry between the two
no
companies.
doubt.
And the way that I would position this, or the way that they're positioned, I guess, is Qualcomm is, or at least traditionally in the last, you know, 6, 7 years at least, has established itself as the leader in premium, sort of like flagship level mobile handset SoCs, right? They also have some lower price tiers, but where they really excel is just sort of like being at the bleeding edge of all this, and having the best product, which is evidenced by the fact that they're in pretty much all of the major OEMs flagship Android phones. MediaTek is not, however, sort of sharing in that success at the very high tier, but where they're strongest is in kind of like the high to middle tiers and even lower tiers. So they're kind of like they're more of a volume player. They have a really good middle solution that that addresses I would say the majority of the market, and they've been trying to compete with Qualcomm in that premium tier and break into that premium tier at the very high end, and they haven't thus far been able to. And there's several reasons for that, and I don't need to get into all of them. But actually, I'd love to in a different show if you ever want to, have that discussion or have that analysis.
Oh yeah,
And it isn't that their product is bad at the premium level. It's just the partnership ecosystem that Qualcomm has built, and the fact that they're more custom in my view, definitely helps. But MediaTek is don't sleep on MediaTek. They've really
yeah.
beefed up their AI offering. In some performance, like some benchmarking, they actually do better than Qualcomm chips. So that's always interesting to kind of hear the back and forth between those two
Hmm.
companies in
Right.
terms of performance. Um, but yeah, unfortunately, I don't think that you're going to see MediaTek break into the premium handset tier at scale anytime soon, at least not in the United States, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But what's interesting to them for me is, first of all, they're going to bring a lot more AI capabilities to the mid-tier phones, and that's really
Sure.
interesting.
Yeah.
The other thing is they also have a really strong presence in other devices like athletic, sort of like electronic, workout equipment. And so I can
Hmm.
definitely see how some of these AI capabilities and AI interfaces could be integrated into home gyms and other types of devices. We've seen the beginning of that in the last few years with some kind of really sophisticated, nice interfaces with home gyms. And I think that MediaTek is going to help its partners add to those capabilities and make that industry really take advantage of AI. And obviously MediaTek with IoT solutions, I think we'll start seeing a lot of voice, like AI assistant type interfaces with wearables and IoT, where MediaTek is very strong. So they're a really important player. And even though I like to talk about Qualcomm a lot, I want to give them props because they do really good work, and they serve a portion of the market that's extremely important.
Yes, I commend the portfolio diversity. And that was pretty much a perfect segue because we are wrapping up with Qualcomm. And and basically, we naturally had a lot of great conversations with the team there. We've done already a lot of extensive reporting. I just want to fill out a couple of other takeaways in terms of what we saw from Qualcomm at the show. And as we know, they're basically demonstrating those advancements in AI. So we are definitely keen on the fact that they truly are on the cutting edge, I believe, in terms of AI innovation. They've been at this for years. The moment's come, and there definitely can be a part of that rising juggernaut in terms of being a key player. And also, it's related to 5G and Wi-Fi and infusing AI throughout different industries, as well as the devices we touched on, as well as consumer experiences. And by unleashing the potential of I see the fusion of on-device computing prowess and improved connectivity being able to empower businesses as well as individual consumers to unlock new use cases and applications. And that is something that I think is important to remember. It's like, what is the use case? Well, there's some in place. For example, being able to enhance contact center responses, things along those lines that are kind of like low hanging fruit. But stay tuned. We're going to see more as we figure out how to make Gen AI work more effectively, not just for a business, but also for those consumer experiences. And one thing that I think jumped out at me was that Qualcomm shared the data point that Gen AI is expected to have a broad impact across all these industries that could add the equivalent to 2.6 trillion to 4.4 trillion dollars to the economy, or really, it's a total addressable market, and that is something that clearly grabbed our attention, and it followed from all the announcements they did there. And so that is just kind of a level set for you, Olivier. I know we had these great conversations. We did some, I think, very insightful research notes. But what else can you add about interacting with Qualcomm at the show?
Yeah, let me see if I can be brief and succinct for
That's the
once.
challenge. Yes.
Yeah, for once. So like, let's go through my little mental bullets. One, obviously, we keep talking about on-device AI, and I just wanted to reiterate again, it's the biggest transformative. I mean, generative AI is the biggest transformative, I think, tech innovation of our generation. And again, just because I just got back from HP, uh, it's the sense that we haven't had a major technical revolution like this in a while. So I
Right.
think there's Windows 95, right, which is sort of like the beginning of the real sort of like computing era, the modern computing era.
Hmm.
You have the invention of the smartphone, which obviously has been extremely transformative, and I think AI is clearly the next one. It's going to get into everything. So that's number one. It's going to transform how we interact with technology, what technology can do for us. We're talking about just no code coding, right? You can just tell your
Right.
technology what you want it to do, and it's going to do it. It's able to recognize and understand data without human input. I mean, it's crazy. So it's extremely transformative, and the ability to have this capability spread across data centers, so basically in the cloud, on-prem, and with devices, is extremely empowering because, as you mentioned,
Yes.
it's all use case based. So if you need data center type power and performance, you can move some of those workloads there. If you don't, or you need something more immediate, or something that doesn't require connectivity, then you don't want lag at all, then you can do it on device. So you can spread that load. And so I think what's really important, especially with Qualcomm's approach and how they communicate their vision for how AI proliferates across our entire tech ecosystem, is all of those pieces also, they don't just need to work on the devices or on the hardware that they're on, they also need to be able to talk to each other. And so connectivity is going to be a huge factor here, because your device is going to decide based on the use case what packets of information or what workloads it's going to do on itself, or which ones it's going to send out. And then they're going to have to
Right.
be sent out and go back and forth. And so 5G and ultimately 6G are going to be critical to that AI connectivity between all of those moving pieces. In addition to that, Wi-Fi 7 is a
Hmm.
huge, I think, it's sort of like the
Yes.
understated MVP of all this.
Right.
We're seeing a big push with Wi-Fi 7 into vehicles as well, for that specific reason, to be able to kind of move some of the workloads and manage them better, which AI will do, by the way, by itself, without the user having to worry about it. So I think for me, it's this whole hybridized AI ecosystem, that's really important, where all the pieces do what they need to be doing. The connectivity between them being smart, reliable, very high performance, and also being just like the architecture of it, being designed specifically for the age of AI, as opposed to a 5G and Wi-Fi architecture that is trying to adapt itself to the needs of AI.
Yes.
What we're seeing is a shift towards, no, AI is the determining factor. We are now building solutions, connectivity solutions, with it and for it, looking into the future, and looking for, the type of scale that we're probably looking at. And I think the next step will be connecting all that with augmented reality, and kind of like ubiquitous, XR. We're not quite there yet. Right now, we have to do this AI layer first, with the transition from Wi-Fi. Well, the transition to Wi-Fi 7, but also the transition to from 5G to 6G in the next 6 years.
Right. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's a valid time frame. And yeah, I think that was the major takeaway, that we had AI in the morning, AI in the evening, AI across
Yeah.
the board, to the point, you might as well rename the show AI World Congress. But this is not unique to Mobile World Congress.
Yeah.
You can anticipate this for about every show coming up this year. In addition to AI, I would like to call out a couple of other, I think, important developments that came out the show. One is, I think, a re-energization of network APIs. I know we've been talking about it for a while, but I think some of the developments on the standardization side, as well as some improvements in portfolio capabilities by players like Vonage, now part of Ericsson, are going to really, I think, catalyze the ability to really finally make network APIs more tangible in terms of their impact on operator business outcomes. And in addition, private 5G, I thought it got a lot of attention. So we can anticipate that private 5G will definitely be proliferating during the course of 24 plus, in terms of, and here's a preview of Mobile World Congress 25,
Right.
that it will just be part of the mix, you will. But it'll be fascinating to see how it breaks out. How many of them will be offered by systems integrators, the solutions that is, versus service providers, versus enterprises adopting it themselves, i.e., do it yourself, or the vendors are stepping in and implementing it for the customers. So this is really, I think, going to be kind of a Wild West scenario in some ways. And to wrap it up, really, and this is going back to Qualcomm, there was, I think, one unsung hero that was actually pre AI and is a 5G success story. That is simply fixed wireless access, or
Yeah.
FWA. And Qualcomm, leading up to the show, unveiled its 5G fixed wireless access Ultra Gen 3 platform. And that is actually aimed at making it all the more successful. I think it's been a success story, maybe not as firing up the imagination as much as all the AI marketing out there. But it's important to note that already 110 million FWA devices have been deployed. That's going to triple over the next few years for both indoor and outdoor applications. And what Qualcomm's doing with its third generation multimeter wave module, called the QTM567, is to enable more of the multimeter wave capabilities in terms of coverage and range, and also improving spectrum aggregation, and of course leveraging AI enhanced search and selection so that FWA can be all the more efficient and user friendly. And any final thoughts at this juncture, Olivier, to add?
No, I'm glad you added that at the end, because it's impressive. And also, fiber is great, but fiber is expensive and it's difficult to
Yep.
put in. So FWA is a really good solution. And I think if the piece of equipment that you were talking about at the end is the one with the motorized reflector, the millimeter
Oh,
wave,
yeah, that's right.
yeah, it's kind of impressive too.
Yes.
If I get one, I want mine to be see-through so I can see the things I'm spinning around. Essentially, yeah, it's like a little
Yes.
mirror that catches the millimeter waves and redirects them. So it's extremely precise, and that's gonna help a lot. So yeah, I'm very much in favor of the FWA solutions, and I'm glad that they're taking off. The only other thing too is what I'll be curious about for the next 12 months before the next Mobile World Congress is the tension between Wi-Fi and private 5G networks in industrial applications, because sometimes Wi-Fi works fine, sometimes you need 5G, and there's still quite a bit of debate as to which works best for what and what's the better investment. So hopefully we'll get a little bit more clarity and segmentation in the next year. Yeah.
I'm predicting more blending of the two.
Yes. Yeah,
So
I
it's
agree.
not
Yeah.
quite an either or, but yes, so it's in place today. But yes, that's an excellent point. And again, part of our pre MWC25 review
Yeah.
scoop.
This
Expect
is
more
like an
private public
evergreen
integration.
episode. We'll re-release it just before MWC next year.
Well, with that high note, thank you so much, Olivier, for joining. Again, kudos on the upcoming nuptials. Have a wonderful
Thank you.
honeymoon. Hopefully, our
Thank you.
show will be ready by then. And with that, again, thank you to our viewing audience for joining us. Again, don't forget to bookmark us and keep us in mind, as we did the show once a week. And with that, everybody, have a wonderful 5G day.